Hello and welcome. Please make yourself comfortable. Perfidious Albion is famous for its weird ways and bizarre bastions, its tantalizing traditions, and its ominous oddities. In this video, if you are prepared, I would like to talk to you about one such oddity found at Hindlip Hall in Worcestershire. Spectral sounds of a most tragic origin. Hindlip Hall was the ancestral home of the Havingtons, a family with influence in the court of Queen Elizabeth I. The patriarch of the family, John Havington, served the crown loyally and with good reason. For John was keenly aware of the sectarian and delicate nature of English society in the 16th century, and as a practicing Catholic, he knew he must tread carefully. The English Reformation, which had begun under Elizabeth's lusty father, Henry VIII, revolutionised society and religion in England, revoking the power and privilege of the clergy at a blade's end, sowing the seeds for fire, unrest, and death in years to come. The persecution of Catholics under Henry had been bloody, but this was more than equalled when his Catholic daughter Mary came to the throne. Public burnings, hangings, and even the introduction of the Inquisition gave Mary her fitting moniker, Bloody Mary. When she passed in 1558, it fell to Elizabeth I to bring peace to this fragmented and sectarian land, something she struggled with her entire reign. The peace was to be upheld at all costs, and fear of Catholic retaliation forbade any public proselytizing of any but the Church of England's creed. Doing or harbouring those that did so was punishable by death. After John Havington passed in 1582, his two sons, Edward and Thomas, inherited the home, but not their father's sensibilities. 4 years later, it was uncovered that both sons had been involved in a Catholic plot to remove Elizabeth from power. But only Thomas survived execution for treason, on the grounds that he was Elizabeth I's own godson. This act of clemency, a wise man might consider a warning bell of the situation. Alas, Thomas was not this man. Out of favour with the Queen, and sticking to his denounced faith, Thomas became master of Hindlip Hall. He used his home as a place of refuge for Catholic priests, hiding them in nooks and crannies of the house to avoid suspicion from his Anglican neighbours. Whether the Queen was ignorant of these matters, we do not know. Perhaps she knew, and her love for her godson allowed this treacherous activity to continue. Perhaps not. Regardless, this just made Thomas grow bolder in his activities and began to fraternise more publicly with other known Catholic lords, including one Nicholas Owen, a Jesuit priest, enemy of the crown, and a leader of the Gunpowder Plot. When the plot was uncovered on the 5th of November, several Catholic priests and high-ranking members of the Gunpowder Plot fled to Hindlip Hall. There they hid away in nooks and crannies, most masterfully created by Owen himself. But in January, men of the new Protestant King James I arrived and began to search the house. For 12 days they searched from top to bottom, trying to find the men. Man cannot live on faith alone, however, and eventually each member of the plot gave themselves up from starvation. Having harboured the plotters, Thomas and his wife Mary were imprisoned for several weeks, and again narrowly avoided execution due to his status as Elizabeth I's godson. The plotters were tortured, and eventually killed for their crimes against the crown. And this is where the story, perhaps, might end, were it not for one interesting fact. Nicholas Owen was a master builder as well as a priest, and made 11 hiding places in Hindlip Hall for his 11 brethren. At least this is what he told the torturer. Perhaps Nicholas was lying. Strange sounds of shuffling, groaning, and what many claimed to be Latin have been reported by several people staying at Hindlip Hall since 1800. All of the claims report the same thing, that the sounds came from within the walls themselves. This has persisted even after the main hall burned down in 1820 and was completely rebuilt. What is more, no bones have ever been discovered on the property, nor any other hiding place. And yet, multiple people over multiple centuries all report the same eerie sounds, emitting faintly from somewhere in the walls. Is it possible? Was there a 12th priest?